Welcome to the SmarterVision Life Optimization Experience. Why do we call it an experience? We call it an experience because there are three key steps in this entire set of modules. The first is that you identify your purpose. Yeah, that is so important, so fulfilling. It allows you to sail through life with a significant purpose every single day. The second area that we cover and we help you understand in the SmarterVision course is how to implement, how to actually live your life consumed by your purpose, so that every single day is never wavering, you're never distracted, you're never stressed out, there's no dissonance in your life as a result because you're implementing every single day your purpose. And then the third step that's really makes it easy for you is that you can automate your purpose. You can automate your purpose going on autopilot. So you don't have to think about it. You never have to get up one morning and say, what should I do today? It's automatically happening. It goes on autopilot. Now, the reason why this is so significant, a course for you to find your purpose, first of all, is because of a quote that I know you will really enjoy. Mark Twain, and he said this: there are two most important days of your life. The first is your birth. The second is when you find out why. Why don't we jump into module 1 right now so you can begin that process of identifying your purpose and begin living it.
Welcome to module 1. I'm going to do two different things with module 1 today, which provides you, first of all, with an introduction to the series, to all 6 modules, just the general structure of each one. And then we'll dig right into the tactics around module 1. You've already been through the strategy, and you should have just finished watching that video. Now I'm going to share with you exactly what the structure is, first of all, and then we will share with you the tactics centered around module 1 so you can extract the value that's embedded in here. First of all, you will notice that the module 1 is identified at the top, and they're typically skills. There's anywhere between 1 to 4 skills in each of the modules. And we call these skills because we want you to be able to use these skills not just for the course, but as a way to really build your life as an ongoing process through the future. And so you'll see that we have skills that are in here. And in this case, you'll see that. We'll come back to that. There's a cover picture for each one that somehow captures the meaning and the essence of the intent of the module. And then, of course, I'm going to ask you here to be sure for each module to put your name, claim it. Claim the work that you're doing as yours. This is going to be a very important part of training your mind to accept some of the challenges that are embedded in here, right? Some of it's going to be challenging your way of thinking, and it's going to be a growth process. So claim this process and put the date that you started this. This is very helpful to when you go back to it a year or 2 or 3 or 5 years from now, you'll be able to see where you were. And then, of course, we go into a little bit more detail, identifying more clearly the different sections of module 1. In this case, you can see now we have module 1, section 1. And this is where you will actually get into an activity. Sometimes we have quotes and paragraphs from other resources that are embedded in here. And then, of course, the activity. Here you'll find a place where you can actually type. You'll be able to click right in that box and type information. And these are what the activities look like in different ways, different form. This gives you a clear indication of some of the samples that we're providing for you to stir your thinking a bit. And then we have module 1, section 2. You will notice in this case, again, the skills come back up. You want to see that there's an activity. This goes a little bit deeper into exactly what is expected of you and the purpose and the reason and the rationale behind each one of these steps. And then here's your place where, again, you would begin to fill in the information. You are going to see also here some additional information that somehow summarizes and encapsulates what you've just done and gives you an opportunity to reflect on that in a different way, in a meaningful way that will help to train your behavior and train your mind to be able to just push through that process that makes it so effective, so that ultimately you will have a vision that works for you in this case. And here we have the story of John. Please know that John is a former student. We've changed his name to protect his identity, but it's really fun to see the struggles that John went through. So after you have been exposed to the process, we want you to go back and reflect on the struggles, reflect on what was easy, what was hard, what was difficult for you, and maybe you can connect with John as he went through similar experiences and challenges through the process. Excuse me. Now, as you go through, you will see that John somehow becomes a part of the lesson in some cases. And this whole section here is really a core piece of module 1. But again, you will see how this you'll excuse me again. You'll have an opportunity to see how this works so that you can go through this process very smoothly. Here are the instructions, what words or phrases, and then after the instructions, in some cases, we have a summation, a recap. We also have thoughts and quotes and ideas in some of these modules that will help to enrich your experience. And then we have a kind of a graphic, an infographic summary that gives you really good perspective on exactly what should have happened in module 1 and gives you an idea as to where you are in the process. So this is, of course, the general structure for each of the modules. Now I'm going to go back in and share with you just the specifics on module 1. Now, module 1, the specific skills are centered around the idea of congruency and self-transparency. And that's a kind of a weird set of words here, congruency and self-transparency. And what we're attempting to do is, first of all, with congruency, are you behaving? Are you living your life in such a way that it's congruent with your beliefs and values? And that's a really important, because if there's any dissonance, any conflict there, then your life is going to be so mixed up. You're going to be jumping from one thing to another, searching for something. And once there is congruency between your values, your beliefs, and your behavior, there is so much peace and so much focus in your life. And then self-transparency is really a flip side of that same idea of congruency, but to really look at yourself closely. And in this particular module, we're looking at ourselves in terms of creating and identifying those values, those beliefs, because that's what ultimately forms our character and our identity. So the two skills that go along with that is where you add perspective, define purpose in your life. That's a skill. And you will be able to take this skill away with you and use this for the rest of your life. It's fascinating how you can do this and tweak it every single year, as I do. Some people do it twice a year just to be on top of their game. And then, of course, laser-like precision, a focus on your reasons for being. In this particular module, we're calling this your lighthouse. That's your reason for being. Your reason is not your goal here is not to find a destination in terms of a place. All right, it's more in terms of character and identity. It's more in terms of values and beliefs. And that lighthouse gives you your reason for being. And here it is then that you're designing this lighthouse, and you're designing it, and then of course you're going to build it, and then you want to head for it. That's ultimately what this module is about. Again, please go ahead and put your name and the date in here when you have your document open. And now we have some explanation relative to the skills that we're covering here. And how will you feel? Because so many of our students have gone through this program and they feel fearful. They feel anxious. They feel even a little beaten up in some cases. But that's okay, because you're making breakthroughs in your life when you have these kinds of experiences. And you're going to also, some of you are going to feel a sense of pride. Some of you are going to be so excited that you've come to a realization that, this is it. This is what I've been searching for. This is where I should be putting emphasis in my life. And all of a sudden, these things become unveiled in the process. And so just be aware that that is normal. And starting with the end in mind, this is the real idea behind it. Stephen Covey made this very popular several years ago. And what we're focusing on here is not just the end of a project or the end of a portion of your life, but the end of life for you. Yeah, exactly. And what that provides for you is a clear focus, a clear idea as to what your purpose will be in life based on the values that you're able to uncover in that. And so this gives you a laser-like vision and guides every single move almost effortlessly. As you go through the course, you'll find it releasing. Now, so the first part, Module 1, Section 1, and I encourage you to read everything in detail here, because, and mark it up. If you print it, mark it up. If you don't print it, go ahead and highlight it and change the color of something, or just make it so that you can come back to this information at any time. But I will tell you here that you have a choice. You have a choice where your life can be guided by the moments of the day. Oh, something came up. Oh, you know, I have to change this. Or, man, that's a really great idea. I'm going to jump on that. And you become so reactive or reactionary, and that becomes your way of life. I was there myself. And it's so frustrating to go have those ups and downs, those highs and lows. And the opposite of that is really where you can be guided by your own desire to give meaning, hope, and joy into your own life and into the lives of others. And that's so great a life where you're giving meaning to yourself, and every act that you perform, every activity in which you engage, it is exactly something that's aligned to your purpose. And so please dig in and let these statements sink into your thinking, so you begin to understand a process that very few places ever teach. And then, of course, let's start with your legacy as another way of looking at that. So we're starting with legacy building. What is that legacy of value? And if you look at the key terms that we have included here, it gives you an idea of the direction that we're encouraging you to take: kind, loving, caring, generous, compassionate, dedicated, and wise. Those are some of the words that you may end up with. You certainly don't want to be remembered as being hard-nosed, unavailable, cold, miserly, self-focused, a workaholic, and unforgiving. You know, those are okay in some ways, depending on the story behind it. But as a principle, as character and identity might be included in this, some of these terms are really not the ideal for most of us. So keep on as you go through. This is, of course, a paragraph that we are citing the source here. Please know that much of the information in here is original, but there are a few key sources that we've used, and we give them credit at all times. The next thing then is to actually go into this. Study the epitaphs that are here. Study the framework that is being built here. This is on your tombstone. What would you want to have on your tombstone? And then the question will be, are you willing to live your life in such a way that those words naturally would be the ones that anyone of your loved ones, your family, anyone who knows you well, that any one of those kinds of people, that they would be happy. In fact, they're not only happy to put it on your tombstone, but happy that you lived the life you lived, so that those words, they have no choice but to put those words there. And so that gives you an opportunity to reflect on that. We've given you some examples so that you can just really easily and quickly identify some of the examples that are out there. Now in Module 1, pardon me, Section 2, you're going to now take a look at the other skill. And this is where we look at another question. And what are the people saying at your celebration, at your funeral? And what do you want to hear them say and why? And this and why is really important. Please, you will see where we provide for you. Now, in the strategy video, you may recall that we discussed 23 checkpoints to help you establish your purpose in life. And this is the large part of it coming up here. The first part was what we just did with the epitaph up here, where you actually were able to fill in your information here, and that's the start. That's one. Now we have 22 more checkpoints to go along with that one, and that's where we are here. You're going to be then looking at, what do you want at your pretend funeral? What would you like to hear your friends saying, assuming that you could attend? Then your coworkers, then your spouse, then your children, then your neighbors, then members from your church, synagogue, or mosque. And the reason for this here is because we want you to reflect, and don't just put the same answer for everyone. Think about who these people are in your life. Think about what they mean to you and what they perceive you to be right now, and how you would like them to really understand who you are as a person. Think about each of these as different relationships, and there are 11 of these in the left column. And this gives you a tremendous opportunity to come up with not just the end point, but a strategy that will help you to live the life that you really want to live, so that you get these words, you get these wonderful comments coming from all these different people about you as they remember your life. Now, these 11 points, each one of these, you may not even be aware right now, but as you dig deep into your memory, as you dig deep into who you are, your character, your identity, and keep in mind that, in Psalms 139, the psalmist reminds us through his own words. He says, God, you knit me together in my mother's womb. You were made uniquely. You are different than anyone else in the world. And so your purpose is unique, but the purpose really has its greatest value when it impacts the lives of other people. And so as we build a framework for your life, then that is the reason why these questions are so important. And that you have good answers here is great on the left-hand column. But now we're focusing on the reasons why. So there's something in your experience where you grew up, the time in which you grew, the culture in which you grew, the parents that you had, the friends that you had, the relatives that you had living around you. All of these pieces give you reasons for wanting these things on the left-hand column. We want you to go a little bit deeper than you would normally and think about, why is living that value important to you? What are some of those private beliefs? And if you have anything here that you don't want anyone else to know, that's fine. You don't have to share this with a group or anything of that nature. If you have specific reasons in here that are just really private and close to you that you're not comfortable sharing, that's fine. But I do want you to know that you need to write them down anyway. Even if you have to write them in code or in a foreign language or something, it doesn't matter. Your brain needs to see that right here on the right-hand column. Those are tactical steps in this process so that you extract the full value of the course. And here you will find that there are 11 corresponding items in this list as well. And so these are 22 checkpoints that allow you to clearly identify on a values-based, character-based, identity-based process, what is your purpose? That is so fascinating. And this, of course, is just the beginning, because this is just laying the foundation. This is like collecting the bricks, as it were. Now, when you're finished this, you will get, of course, your additional information and supporting ideas and concepts to help you understand what you just experienced, what you just did. Again, you will see John here. And John was getting very confused and even discouraged at this point, because he says, well, I don't know what I want to put here. I don't know, how can I add deeper meaning and purpose to my life? It just doesn't make sense. And of course, eventually came up with this, right? He came up with this list of words. So he actually did the 2 steps that we just described, the epitaph and the 22 checkpoints. And out of that activity, he picked out key words from those two exercises and created his first draft of this list of words, these key words here. And you will notice he called it his lighthouse. It says, hey, that's my lighthouse. All right. And so all these terms that he put here are things that emerged from the activity, two activities above. And so this is where you get then to do the same thing. And so you will go back, you'll look at those sentences, those phrases, those comments, the epitaph, and you will actually begin building your list of words down here. We've given you 16, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so that's 15 spaces here that you will be able to just put keywords in here. And if you need more, it's okay. Just make a space or jot them down somewhere. But typically 10 to 15 words is what most people do in the course. And these words will become the foundation and the framework for building your life. If you take a look at John's list right here, you will see that some of them are not really deep character aligned things, but being a great cook, that was important to him. Yeah. It was also important to him that they all recognized him as being unselfish, as being giving, loving father and husband. What are some of those attributes that you would appreciate being remembered by? And so here you have then module 1, gives a little bit more information, a quote. I really like this part of this quote. The only difference is that the man can choose his values and beliefs according to the character and identity that he desires. So if you think about what we just explored in module 1, you will see that not only are you uncovering how you feel, but now you can actually pull together a list of values and beliefs and key words in that list that indicate who you wish to become. And that is the biggest joy in life, to be able to make that kind of transformation. And down here in the very last part, you will see step 1. This is what we've done, Congress and self-transparency, to deliver values that energize, excite, and engage the mind and center it around a purpose. And we looked at this earlier in the introduction, but same activity, right? Same basic set of muscles, same basic movement between these two, hoping for results, hoping for arriving at a place, all right? And this is good. This is not to say this is unhealthy. It's just that we're not moving, and we want to move with intention and focus. We want to be arriving at our lighthouse. And so that's the first step to a desired automaticity. We will discuss that in more detail as we go through the modules, but deep fulfillment is going to start coming up here. You're going to have a sense of what your values are, a sense of what values-based success looks like, and you're going to begin feeling the unstoppable passion that is generated as a result of going through these exercises. And so you can see your path. You may be over here like John was. And starting with the end in mind is the first step. 5 more steps to go. Congratulations on completing your first module. And so once you finish this work, then you will be ready for module 2. I look forward to seeing you in module 2. I look forward to hearing your excitement and hearing some of the challenges that you experienced, and also to be able to then help you prepare for the next steps, not only to identify your purpose, but to implement your purpose and then to automate your purpose, as the SmarterVision life optimization experience will allow us all to do. Thank you so very much, and look forward to seeing you at the end of this module and on into module 2.